Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 490, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. In this week's episode, I am flying solo here in the Next Level studio, and I just wanted to share with you what's been going on in my own little entrepreneurial online business building journey. I just got back, as you guys may know, if you've been listening week to week, you know that I just got back from a cruise with my wife. We went on a podcast cruise with the folks over at Podcast Movement, had a great time. Stephanie enjoyed one day at the beach, just laying back, lounging under an umbrella. I laid there, but I was antsy. I'm one of those guys that likes to get up and go and do things all the time. But she loved her relaxed day at the beach. And then the next day in Cozumel, we went on a bit of a journey, if you will, a 2.5-hour journey to the upper Yucatan Peninsula so that we could visit the Chichen Itza Mayan ruins, which has been a goal of mine for more than 13 years now. And it was incredible. It was a great experience. I absolutely loved it. But anyway, got back last Friday and then jumped straight into a Podcasting A to Z course. My current session of Podcasting A to Z started last Monday. Successful registration, got some amazing students, and I've had a ton of questions. Plus, of course, catching up on email after being gone and all these other things. It's just like I had so many things to do. And last week, I of course, I do everything by priorities. I list my priorities out. I have at the beginning of the day, I outline what it is that I need to get done today. And I do things in such a way that if I only get the first 1, 2, or 3 things that are on my list of things to do, even if I have 8 or 9 or 10 things that I'd like to accomplish in a day, if I only get 1, 2, or 3 things done, did I work on the right 1, 2, or 3 things so that at the end of the day I say, I feel good about what I did today? And I did that successfully every single day last week. And what's weird is that recording last week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show and also putting together last week's podcast development newsletter post to go out last week. Those were on my list of priorities, but unfortunately, there just so happened to be some higher priorities above that, and it fell below the line of things that had to be done before I went to bed. And I could have worked past 5 o'clock, but I just chose not to last week. And normally I would, but last week it was kind of like coming off of vacation. It's been quite a rush to get everything set up and rolling with the A to Z session. I got to get caught up on the week and a half of emails. Oh my gosh. So many things. And I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen this week. So it didn't happen. Special thank you to those of you who listen in real time, who noticed that I didn't have an episode. Thank you for your kind words. All of you who are concerned, yes, I did make it back from my cruise. No tragedy or anything happened. It's just that I just chose to take the week off last week, and I didn't happen to email out on my newsletter either. So there were some very concerned folks, which I love, by the way. I love that people notice when you're not there. It makes me realize just how valuable you think this content is to you personally. And so thank you for communicating that to me. What do I want to share with you? I have a little bit of some things here. First of all, I want to let you know that last week I did jump into my Green Room Mastermind group. This is a group of folks that I've been meeting with, Pat Flynn and myself. We started this group back in October 2010. You probably know some of the names of the people that are in this group. Mark Mason from Late Night Internet Marketing. I have him on the show quite often. Ray Edwards from rayedwards.com, The Ray Edwards Show, Copywriting Academy. He's in my mastermind group. Michael Stelzner from Social Media Examiner. Leslie Samuel from Become a Blogger. And, of course, Pat Flynn and myself. So amazing group of guys. I wanted to share 2 bits of recording. This is just my audio. Of course, everything in the green room is confidential, but I'm not playing any audio in this recording. Sometimes we get permission to share a recording with you guys, but I didn't need it for this one because all I'm sharing with you is some things that I said in response to some questions that I was asked. So I have 2 little audio clips I want to share with you. And one of the things that I was talking about is just how happy I am with where I am in my journey with Podcast Answer Man. And one of the members in the group said, "Hey, Cliff, I just want to ask you, has anything changed in your vision of the future as it relates to where do you want to be 5 years from now? Moving forward, creating all the content, working on the email newsletter. Where do you see all of this driving to? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?" And in response to that, I said this, and I'm going to play that audio clip for you right here. If you would have asked me that question in January of 2016, I would have told you that in 5 years, there might be a possibility that people don't even really think of me as the Podcast Answer Man anymore, and that I'm on the early stages of becoming the world's next Tony Robbins, right? Whereas today, I can tell you that in 5 years from now, I still see a Podcast Answer Man as the very clear first introduction that most people will have to who I am and what I do. And I'm actually really excited about it because until this changes, which I see the potential over the next 5 years, a lot of things can change. A lot of opportunities may come up. But at least until things change, I know that I'm able to already accomplish the things that I had dreamed of doing by being the Podcast Answer Man. So, for example, in my Podcasting A to Z course, it's only Wednesday of the first week, and I've already had 3 students tell me that I've already changed their life for the better, just as a result of responding with a video of something that they asked, and they had never thought about things from a completely different perspective than what they've always thought about things. And it just opened their mind. And now they're creatively flowing with so many ideas, and they're so exuberant with passion that they haven't felt in years. So for people to actually have those kind of experiences, that's what I want to do for people. In the process over the next 4 weeks, am I going to help them launch a podcast? Yes. Is that what they actually signed up for? Yes. Are they walking away with a whole lot more than that? Absolutely. So I see myself in 5 years still using my platform, which I have come to see Podcast Answer Man is one of God's greatest gifts that he's given to me as far as this brand. I've come to see it as one of God's greatest gifts, along with my wife, my children. This has been such an opportunity that I hate to say fell in my lap, but I believe God clearly carved out the path for this to be a part of my life. And until I feel God saying, "Hey, you need to shut that door behind you. What got you to where you are is not what's going to get you to where I'm going or where I want you to go. I need you to leave it behind." Unless he puts that on my heart, I see that in 5 years from now, Podcast Answer Man is still going to be the main entry point of how people come to know who I am and how I'm able to serve them. I think in January 2016, I would have used language like, I really wanted to devote my life to being a life coach who helps people expand their minds of what is possible, who helps people have breakthroughs in their life that frees them from the chains and the bondage of bad programming. And so back in January of 2016 and prior to that, I would say, man, I would love to be known for these things. What I've actually learned is that I have been a life coach, and I have been doing all of these things effectively for the last 5 to 8 years. And other people would have said that's what they follow me for. I think what I awoken to at Unleash the Power Within is that I already am what I had hoped that I might one day become. If you don't get anything else from that clip, the biggest thing that I shared, I already am what I had hoped that one day I might become. And when that's for me the biggest revelation. I know I talked about the year of identity. What did I learn about the year of identity? That's the biggest thing. Even as the Podcast Answer Man, being known as the Podcast Answer Man, it has not only not hindered my ability to be a guy who has a life devoted to entertaining, educating, encouraging, and inspiring others. It has not only not been a hindrance, but it has been God's greatest gift in getting me noticed by more people so that I can effectively devote my life to doing those things. And yeah, I wanted to just share that with you. Something that when I said those words, when I actually ended, I already am what I had hoped that I might one day become. As soon as I said those words, I knew I wanted to include that clip in the podcast for you guys. I think a lot of people look at other people's journeys and they have that grass is always greener on the other side. It's like, I wish I could do the work that they do. It all looks green and sunshine with blue skies all the time and things like that. And it's fun to have these conversations one-on-one with people, especially people who think that I'm living the dream life. And don't get me wrong, I am. I know how blessed I am. I am pursuing the work that I love, but what it took to get me here, not a lot of people are willing to put into. And sometimes I question how many people should do the things that I did. I mean, there was a lot of sacrifice that I did to get where I am today. A lot of it has to do with the number of hours that I worked, what kind of ramifications that had on my physical health. I almost died in the hospital. There's a lot of things that are a part of my story, if anything, and I'm not going to go into detail here, but there's, in my oldest child's life, my oldest daughter, Megan, I missed a good portion of, I think, probably some of the most influential and impactful years of her childhood. And thankfully, my wife was very involved in and stuff like that. But for me personally, I really missed an opportunity. Now, she is currently 17 years old, and over the last 3 to 5 years, I've done a ton of things to change my life around when it comes to my priorities and margin. And today, I have a better relationship with her than I could have ever dreamed of having. But I can tell you right now, if there's one regret that I have about what I did to get where I am today, is that, man, before I started this business, back in her youngest days, when she was just born and she's 2 or 3 or 4 years old, I used to spend every night hanging out with her, playing with her, reading her stories, all of these different things. And then all of a sudden, I leave my career in insurance. I start this business, and for about 2.5 to 3 years, I see her at dinner time, and they were very formative years. And I the one thing I do regret about where I am today is that, man, she was daddy's girl, and while she's still my daughter, and she's still daddy's girl to some degree, I can tell there's just something, and I'm not saying it's unrepairable, and honestly, it's better now than I thought it might be. I thought it might be until she's an adult and realizes how the world works before she really finally had any sort of understanding or something like that. But she I don't want anybody to scare anybody. Things are good. But yeah, I regret that, and so a lot of people are like, Cliff, everything you've got it's just perfect. I want what you have. Yeah, be careful how much you want for other people's lives, and not only that, but not everything's all sunshine and roses. I mean, I just don't happen to be one of those people that gets onto Facebook or to Snapchat or Instagram or all these other things when I'm unmotivated, or when I am procrastinating, when I'm not wanting to do things, when I am not only just not motivated, but just when I'm like burned out and flustered, and there's all kinds of things that go on with running your business that I desperately don't want to do. And I put them off for weeks and sometimes months, and yes, sometimes years. Which leads me to another quote that I wanted to share with you from my mastermind call last week. So we were talking about, I basically asked my mastermind group, I said, guys, let me just ask you this. Just open the table here. Anybody that wants to give feedback, you guys all know what I'm working on. You guys have seen what I've been doing. You've heard the things that I've got on my plate and stuff like that. I'd like to ask you, what kind of things do you see as opportunities that I could potentially pursue that I might not be seeing as an opportunity that's really an opportunity that I might want to pursue? And so they came up with some great ideas and stuff like that. Some of them are already on my project list, and there were quite a few that weren't. And so I came away with a couple of extra projects to put on my list, and I'm very excited about those projects, and we'll eventually get to them. And there were some things that I actually shared in the process. I said, hey, there are a couple things that I know that I could do in the process of some web redesign, and I'm, that's the next big project that I plan to tackle. And I was talking about opt-in forms and all these other things, and just rearranging some things on a sales page for equipment sales, and I could see my income doubling, maybe even tripling for as far as that income stream. And they're like, a couple of them are like, hey, well, why don't you just go ahead and do that? Why do you have to wait for a website redesign? And I'm like, well, there's a really good reason for that. Well, here's the reason, and that is that these are the projects that I'm working on. This is the amount of hours that I'm currently allotting myself to work, and these are where my priorities are. And right now, there's no room in the amount of hours that I want to work to work on these. And then there is just one more little bit of feedback that said, hey, just think about this though. What about the opportunity cost here? What if you just optimized the opt-ins on one or two or three of these pages? Just think about all the people, the amount of traffic that could be on your that's on your website, that if you had this optimized just right, that's hundreds, maybe thousands of people that would be on your mailing list that aren't on your mailing list. And those are people who hit your website and may not come back, but man, if they were on your newsletter getting that free autoresponder, I mean, you got the sequence of amazing emails coming out every single week. These people could come to know, like, and trust you. But now that, just think about how every single day you're missing out on how many people that could be building a relationship with you if you just did this 1, 2, or 3 things. And so here is what I had said in a response to that paraphrased line of questioning. I am doing the things that I feel are the most important things at this time. I am in a place where I know that I have the opportunities at my disposal to be generating 10 times the amount of income that I'm currently generating. And I have all of these opportunities in front of me. And I know that I sometimes get stuck into the rut of doing the same things over and over again that have worked for so long. But the good news is that I have created more margin in my life, business-wise and personally, that has allowed me to do some things. So if you think about where I have been over the past 5 years, look at all the things that I've been talking about, like doing something with A to Z to make it a lot more friendly to participate in, email newsletter. These are things that, again, have been put off for 4 or 5 years. But if you think about my track record for the last 6 months, I feel like I'm on a tear, if you will. I think that I may not be moving as fast or as quickly as I could. I know that I could go back to working 60, 80, 85 hours a week, and I could be doing some things that would be insanely profitable and pay off. I just don't want to. I'm doing the amount of work that I want to do right now, and I am having the amount of recreation and enjoyment of my life in my non-working hours that I want to have as well, if that makes sense. All right, so there you go. That's the second clip that I wanted to share with you there, is that, I am, and by the way, the folks in my group, and specifically one person said, hey, Cliff, gosh, yes, hands down, what you've accomplished in the last 6 months with setting up Kajabi, switching over to ConvertKit, knocking it out of the park with an email autoresponder on a consistent weekly basis with this email newsletter that you're creating, the effective way that you're doing your marketing now for podcasting A to Z based upon the segmentation of your list, just the implementation of the different technology that you have with the help support ticket systems. I mean, got all of this within 6 months, and yeah, that is a tear. It is a lot. It's stuff like that, and basically his concern was, I just want to make sure that you're not waiting until things are perfect, but everybody was really understanding once they heard this, like, yeah, I'm working the number of hours, and quite honestly, the number of hours that I'm working is what I think is fair for where I'm at in this season of life and what I want to accomplish. I'm generating significant amount of income. I'm at the place where there is some financial margin, there is some time margin, and by golly, for me, I still am very thrilled with the fact that my health and physical fitness, my workout every day, is still my number one priority in life. Working out, getting a minimum of a 45-minute super intensive, kick your butt, sweating so much that literally sweat is dripping out of your shirt when you're finished kind of workout. That is my priority first and foremost above everything else, including anything in my business. So my priorities are in line, and I'm super excited about that. So those are the kinds of things that have been going on for me. By the way, let me just share with you, this morning I had written an email for Ray Edwards' Copywriting Academy. He's going to be launching his version 2.0 of his copywriting course. If you guys are interested in learning more about effective sales, how to actually promote your brand, your products, your service, how to get more people interested in the things that you want them interested in, whether it be getting new subscribers to your podcast or getting people onto your mailing list, all of those things. Ray's got a great set of free online materials that he's giving away up to the launch of his course so that people get a taste for the kind of value that he can bring. And I'm doing an email campaign for him on my own email list for that. And so I spent a very long time working on an email for that today. And so far it's been pretty effective. I'm looking at the stats on the broadcast that I sent out, and things are looking pretty sweet. In fact, I just pulled it up again. So yeah, the conversion rate is going extremely well. You know what? I've got some time here, and I want to share with you the email that I wrote. The subject is the secret to the success that I have had in building my brand and my business. And here's what I wrote. You may or may not know this about me. I was an independent insurance agent in a family-run insurance agency for 11 years before I left that career to pursue my passion for podcasting and helping others launch a podcast as my full-time career. I certainly had my share of struggles in figuring out how to start, run, and grow my very own business. However, in spite of my lack of experience of operating and managing a business, I was both profitable and cash flow positive from the very first year, and I have had a massive income growth every year since. There are a number of factors that go into the success that I've had over the years. However, there is one skill that stands out among the rest. That skill is my sales experience. You see, I spent 11 years selling auto, home, business, life, and health insurance policies to protect the livelihoods of the folks in my hometown. That is 11 years of sitting down face-to-face with my clients, learning about them and their needs, and creating a proposed insurance products to fit their exact needs. If that experience alone wasn't enough, several of the insurance companies that I represented had paid for very expensive and very extensive sales training seminars. One of the programs that stands out the most in my mind was the State Auto Pacesetter Sales Training Program. This program kicked off with a full 2 weeks spent in the home office of the company in Columbus, Ohio, where I attended sales training seminars for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for those first 2 weeks. That was just the beginning of a year-long commitment to the Pacesetter Sales Training Program. After completing the initial 2 weeks of training, we went back to our own insurance agencies, and for the next year, we had 1 hour weekly group sales training calls and had monthly one-on-one sales coaching calls with one of the trainers from the company. By the end of that year, I had sold more than $1 million in auto and homeowners insurance premiums for state auto insurance alone. Not bad considering that I also kept up with my average sales figures for the other 7 insurance companies that I had represented at the time. Why am I sharing all this? Over the years, I've had a large number of people who have said things to me like, Cliff, I want to do what you did. They see me as a guy who spent most of his life as an employee, who had no experience in running his own business, who found something that became an all-consuming passion and ultimately a calling, and who left the day job to begin and start his own business and was successful doing it. And well, over the past 10 years, I've seen a large number of people either try to build something on the side or who have jumped headfirst into launching their own online business. However, an overwhelming majority of them, even some have invested years into the process, have not been able to make their business venture profitable. In working with many of these folks one-on-one, I've discovered that most of them fail to turn a profit because they have little to no understanding of how selling works. Heck, some of them struggle with feelings of guilt when charging for their products or services. Questions. Do you desire to become more effective in convincing others to listen to and subscribe to your podcast? Do you desire to have greater influence in the lives of those who are a part of your community? Do you wish you could convince more people to subscribe to your email newsletter? Do you wish you were more effective at selling the products and services that you have to offer? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I would highly encourage you to take your understanding of the selling process to the next level. If you listen to my podcast, you know of my friend Ray Edwards. Ray Edwards happens to be the world's highest paid copywriting coach. Copywriting is the process of writing, advertising, promotional messages. The art of coming up with the right sales message is one of the most important lessons that you can learn about in the selling process. Ray is getting ready to launch a brand new version of his Copywriting Academy. Leading up to the date where the course will be available for purchase, Ray is giving away a ton of valuable content for free. Yes, to get the free materials, you will need to provide him with your email address. And yes, you will receive a sales pitch for his paid course when the shopping cart opens. However, I want to encourage you to sign up for Ray's promotion for a few reasons. First, you can easily unsubscribe from Ray's email list at any time with a single click of the mouse. Second, the free materials that Ray will be offering will be valuable in helping you understand the selling process on a deeper level, even if you never purchase the paid course. Third, some of you could really benefit from Ray's paid course and may want to jump into his full, very thorough sales training course. In fact, I'm planning to go through it myself because I know that there is still a lot that I can do to take my own sales skills to the next level. Fourth, if nothing else, use this as an opportunity to study Ray's sales process for his paid course. Take notice of things like his free ebook, his 3-video copywriting mini course, the free interactive webinars that he offers, and most importantly, pay very close attention to the words that he uses in his sales process. Ray's first piece of valuable content is a free ebook entitled The $2 Billion Sales Letter You Never Heard Of. I signed up for Ray's free ebook and read it this afternoon. There are only 10 pages to read with very little text on each page. It took me about 10 minutes to read the whole thing. If you read it, you may even realize why I started off this email by telling you my story. And by the way, I know you guys are listening here on the podcast. How can you get this if you're not on my newsletter? If you're interested in those 4 reasons why you want to sign up for Ray's promotion for this thing. Well, I actually have an easy to follow link for you just to type in. It is podcastanswerman.com/Ray's ebook. RAYSEBOOK. All one word. podcastanswerman.com/Ray's ebook, RAYS ebook. All right. So go check that out if you're interested. But yeah, so I wrote that email today. I actually read Ray's ebook and I actually read the sales letters that are in there, the stories behind the sales letters told. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to just send, the standard affiliate copy. I'm going to send what I believe is a valuable story to people. And so here's the thing. I sent this to my newsletter, to every single subscriber to my newsletter today. And as I sent this out to them, I'm thinking, what is the value here? even if folks do not sign up for Ray's ebook and his ongoing promotion of what he's got going on, is there value in the story that is shared? Number one, yes. And that is that, hey, I want you to know, if you think that, hey, I just want to do what Cliff did and I just know he did it and he's successful, well, number one, there's a lot of things that go into why I've been able to achieve what I've achieved. And again, the subject of the email, remember, is the secret to the success that I have had in building my brand and my business. I want people to know that it isn't just finding something that you're good at and that you're passionate about, and then you go out and you create products and services, and then you're successful. No, that's not enough. For me, I want people to understand that, hey, one of the factors you may not know about is the fact that I have 11 years of intense sales experience. Literally 11 years spent in front of thousands of clients, working with them one-on-one, getting to realize how to have those personal conversations, how to discover what the needs are of the person on the other side of your desk. You know, having those kind of conversations and learning how to communicate in a way that really helps them understand the value of what you have to offer. And by the way, when it comes to car insurance, at least in most states, it's required by law. So there's not a whole lot of selling that you have to do. Also, when it comes to a home, you know, most homes, when somebody buys a home and they get a mortgage on it, the mortgage company requires that they get home insurance. And so with those two types of policies, it really doesn't take you don't have to be too much of a salesperson. You just get some data from them, some information, and you punch it into a computer and you get a rate. And if your rate is lower than all the other rates that they got, they'll probably come in and sign up. Question is, and that's what most insurance agents do. But for me, that's not how I approached it. I always approached it in a very different way. It's like, wait a second. I have 8 different companies that offer 8 different homeowners insurance policies. And if you look at the riders and benefits on each of these policies, they're a little bit different. And so guess what? Just getting their name and some data about the house and value and stuff like that's really not the best way to sell a home insurance policy, because what if the wife has a Mary Kay business in the basement of the home? Or what if the husband works from home and has a home office? Some insurance policies cover those things, some do not. There are all kinds of factors that make the right policy the right thing for the other person. And so when it comes to selling, it's not just getting the lower price. The question is, wait a second, I realize that, you know, there are some companies out there that will sell you a policy lower than the one that I'm proposing for you. But let me explain to you why this is the right one for you. And if you want, you can actually go back to the other people who are offering you the lower price and say, hey, does your policy also offer this benefit, this benefit, and this benefit? And if not, ask them how much it would be to add that on. I'm sure that this is the best price for you if you're concerned about having those things covered, which obviously they would be, because they were pretty important things that most insurance agents overlooked. So there's so much that goes into the sales process, and I have 11 years before I ever launched this business. And the realization is that a lot of people have great experience and skill in doing whatever it is that they do, that they're creating their business for, but they know nothing about selling. They have no sales skills whatsoever. And so if nothing else, I want people to understand, hey, sales is a huge part of my success, of what got me to where I am today. And I'm thankful for that skill. And then the other thing is hey, where does this lead you? It's like, hey, if you're tracking with this, it's like, wow, Cliff had all of this. No wonder he's been able to accomplish so much. I don't have that background. And by the way, Ray Edwards is giving away some free materials. Even if I'm not interested in his paid course, and the one thing I know about Ray is his free materials are going to give you valuable insights. If you just sign up get his free ebook and you learn the power of the story, but if you he's going to have a 3-video mini course. If you just watch that 3-video mini course, by the end of the 3-video mini course, you're going to know more about selling effectively than you did before you signed up for his free resources. And then, of course, I do realize some people will sign up for the entire course. I'm looking forward to finally going through the entire course myself. I'm a great salesperson, but there's a whole lot more that I could be doing, and there's no question about that, and that's what I'm going to do. But again, if you want to sign up for Ray's promotion, I encourage you to do so as quickly as possible. By the way, if you use my link, I will get a commission if you do sign up for his course. And one final thing that I want to share with you here before I wrap up, my next session of Podcasting A to Z is going to start on Monday, May 1st. And I wanted to let you know that I just opened up the registration for that next session of the course. So if you want to jump in and reserve one of the limited number of spots that are available for you to have me as your personal coach walking you through every single step in the process of launching your podcast, where I am standing by for 4 weeks, ready to answer every single question you ask. You can register right now over at podcastinga2z.com. Again, that's podcastinga2z.com. Until next week, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Podcast. It's a man.